Chapter 24, Exorbitant Price. Jiang Ran accepted the sweet potatoes and held the woman's hand, reminding her, "Please take care. If necessary, you can sprinkle some wormwood ash and realgar powder around your house. It might make things safer." Wormwood and realgar had natural insect-repelling and disinfecting effects. In the post-apocalyptic world, their effects would be greatly enhanced, making them the most commonly used insect-repelling items among survivors. The woman waved them off, watching as people continued passing by, and then sat back under the tree, waiting for the next passerby seeking water. Leaving the village, the five of them walked toward the asphalt road. However, the temperature of the asphalt surface was too high, so they had to walk along the roadside. Qinglin complained, "No wonder there's no one on the road from a distance. It turns out the surface temperature is so high." Yuan laughed, "Black asphalt absorbs heat, so naturally, its temperature is much higher than the surroundings." They followed the majority of people slowly along the way. Occasionally, cars sped by, and there were also armed police stationed along the way, equipped with real weapons and observing the restless troublemakers. A young man suddenly collapsed while walking, and the people around him took a quick look before continuing on. A few minutes later, a middle-aged man in a white t-shirt walked up, took a large water bottle from his back, and gave the young man a sip of water before pouring some over his face. Beside the middle-aged man, a girl of 7 or 8 fanned her hand with a paper fan to cool the young man down. The woman beside them gently rubbed the girl's head. The young man gradually regained consciousness, stood up, thanked the three of them, and the middle-aged man continued supporting him as they walked on. On the long migration journey, some people would fall and then stand up again, while others would never stand up again. Jiang Ran's group of 5 continued moving forward. Up ahead, 2 black cars were parked by the roadside. A man in his 30s sat in the yard, leisurely watching the passers-by in front of his door. Jiang Ran turned to Ji Qingcheng behind her and said, "Should we go ask? These 2 cars probably belong to the same family. Giving us 1 car shouldn't affect them much." Yuan furrowed her brows. "Would they sell to us in this situation? Besides, we don't have anything to trade with." Jiang Ran said, "We won't know unless we ask. If we don't ask, we won't have a chance." After looking at the man sitting there, Ji Qingcheng spoke up, "I'll go with you. Just in case we need to lend a hand." Jiang Ran nodded, "Sure." Subsequently, the 2 of them walked toward the roadside building. Ji Qingcheng waited by the road while Jiang Ran entered the courtyard and inquired, "Are these 2 cars yours?" The man glanced at Jiang Ran and said confidently, "Interested in buying a car?" Jiang Ran nodded, "Are you willing to sell one?" After sizing her up, the man continued, "We have 2 cars in our family. Selling one to you isn't impossible, but you know the situation now. I'm afraid you can't afford the price." Jiang Ran smiled, "Why don't you tell us the price? Maybe we can afford it." The man grinned, "We want 1,000 kilograms of grain. Do you have that?" "No." Jiang Ran decisively shook her head. She did have enough grain in her space, but she couldn't take it out now. If she did, her cheat ability would be exposed. Would her life still be secure? Seeing the man's smug expression, Jiang Ran continued, "Even though I can't afford that price, others on this road can't afford it either. Even if someone actually can afford it, they wouldn't trade it for an old car." As she spoke, Jiang Ran carefully observed the man's facial expressions and subtle movements. She noticed that he was staring at her intently. Frowning slightly, she said in displeasure, "Why not tell me a reasonable price?" Suddenly, the man burst into laughter. "What do you have of value on you, other than your backpack? Even if your bag is filled with food, it's still not worth my car. Jiang Ran responded nonchalantly, so. With a complacent grin, the man said, exchange it with something else. No need. Before Jiang Ran could continue, Ji Qingcheng, who had been observing the situation closely, spoke up. He walked up to Jiang Ran's side and looked down at the man from a higher position. Leaning close to Jiang Ran's ear, he whispered, there are people hidden inside the house. Jiang Ran suddenly realized that this guy had intentionally parked 2 cars in the yard, clearly to attract people to inquire, and then quote an exorbitant price, raising the prospective buyer's expectations before robbing them. Men rob for wealth, women rob for beauty. It was quite the clever plan. She looked at the man and sneered, don't count your chickens before they hatch. Jiang Ran and Ji Qingcheng left, and the man looked at them with an unfriendly expression. Seeing that there were others with them, he retracted his gaze and continued to sit in the yard, waiting for the next unwitting lamb to step into his trap. After they left, Jiang Ran's group didn't see any more cars. In the current situation, every household realized the importance of cars and concealed their vehicles thoroughly. It was rare for any family to be willing to sell their cars. Jiang Ran also gave up on the idea of acquiring a car. She couldn't just go and steal one. As night fell, the number of people on the road dwindled. Some chose to rest on the roadside or find lodging in nearby houses, while others took advantage of the relatively cool night to continue their journey under the moonlight. Jiang Ran's group of 5 decided to press on and cover as much ground as possible at night, resting during the day. Under the brilliant starry sky, the darkened land lay both serene and perilous. The sounds of insects and birds filled the air in the dimly lit forest, occasionally broken by the hooting of owls. Because of the dim light, Jiang Ran's group huddled closely together, keeping just a step's distance between each other. Chirp chirp chirp. Suddenly, the forest erupted with the sound of birds taking flight, followed by a loud and distant howl. Awoo! Jiang Ran was alarmed, it's a wolf howl. Before her words had even faded, a few clear responses echoed from the nearby hilltop. Guansong's voice trembled, a wolf pack. Quickly assessing the location and distance of the wolf howls, Ji Qingcheng said, quick, find a place to hide. We can't stay out here. If we get surrounded by a wolf pack, we're done for. Hearing this, everyone hurried toward the nearby houses. Others on the road also began rushing towards the village. Open the door. The wolf pack is coming. Hurry and open the door. Let us in. Compatriots, please open the door and let us hide inside for a while. I can give you a lot of money. Help! Panicked cries echoed all around as terrified people pounded on the doors of various houses. However, hardly anyone was willing to open their doors. In the only house that opened its door, as soon as the entrance was breached, the panicked crowd surged inside. The homeowners were knocked down and trampled upon, emitting cries of pain. But due to the dim lighting, many couldn't see the situation inside the house clearly. The sound of the agonizing cries made them more afraid, and they became even more eager to cram into the house.